Welcome to Sound of Hope News. My name is Daniela Wolensack, and today is June 24th. 29 Chinese military planes disturbed Taiwan's southern airspace. This is the third highest number of aircraft disturbing Taiwan in a single day this year. China also pressures Taiwan by sanctioning imports on the grouper, a tasty fish often eaten at festivals. This comes after China's 2021 sanctions on the island's pineapple, sugar apples, and wax apples. America got rid of most of its Confucius Institutes because they were linked to the Chinese Communist Party, but now they are back with new names in American universities. Finally, a top Chinese doctor's report shows how Omicron presents little threat to the Chinese people. It is deleted, and we see how China's government is coping with COVID. Let's get into it. Another 29 Chinese military planes interfered with Taiwan on June 21st, and Taiwan dispatched air patrols in response. This is the third highest number of aircraft disturbing Taiwan in a single day so far this year. The Ministry of National Defense of Taiwan said that the military aircraft that disturbed Taiwan included bombers, communication, countermeasures, tankers, air marshals, anti-submarine planes, and Sukhoi-30 planes. The Taiwan Air Force said that in response, they dispatched air patrol troops and took action such as broadcast eviction and air defense missile tracking and control. This is a routine response action for Taiwan. The communist aircraft harassment took a new path deep in Taiwan's southeastern airspace and deep into the Philippine Sea to the southeast. Taiwanese military expert Lu Lisi pointed out on his Facebook page that the number of communist planes is not the problem, but the new paths, new tricks, and new purposes are alarming. Taiwanese authorities have said that the CCP's repeated military activities near Taiwan are designed to deplete the energy of the Taiwanese military and to test Taiwan's response. A leading Washington-based policy research institute says the United States is preparing for the worst possible conflict in the event of a Chinese communist invasion of Taiwan. The Pentagon's planning should revolve around an overlong conflict. They assessed that the U.S.-China conflict in the Western Pacific will not end soon. The import of the lucrative grouper fish from Taiwan was banned in China on June 13th. This comes after China suspended Taiwanese pineapples, sugar apples, and wax apples in 2021. The fish, which is prized for its lean and moist meat, is a relatively high-end seafood usually enjoyed at special events. Currently, there are more than 1,000 grouper farms in Taiwan, and the annual grouper output is estimated to be nearly 20,000 metric tons, according to Taiwan's Council of Agriculture, COA. While most Taiwanese grouper is consumed at home, China accounts for more than 90% of the exported product. Taiwan makes more than $50 million, according to Taiwan's Fisheries Department. However, China's Customs Administration declared a ban on grouper imports from Taiwan starting June 13th, in order to prevent risks and protect the health and lives of consumers. It's because of harmful chemicals and excessive levels of oxytetracycline allegedly found in the fish since December last year. On the contrary, analysts suggest that the food sanctions are caused by political factors. An associate professor at National Sun Yat-sen University, Ian Tsung-yen Chen, states, banning all imports of groupers simply because a few didn't meet the regulations seems like making a big fuss. Possibly, there's an element of political intimidation from Beijing. He analyzed that the sanction has a great impact on certain farmers and fishermen. He stated, farmers are politically powerful in Taiwan. This time Beijing is targeting fishermen who support President Tsai Ing-wen's Democratic Progressive Party. Regarding the new sanction, President Tsai Ing-wen said that after confirming the safety of the fish and strengthening the management of chemical use, Taiwan responded to those concerns, but the Chinese regime did not follow up or provide further scientific evidence. President Tsai Ing-wen stated on her Facebook page, "The practice of disposal is to return or destroy the goods on a case-by-case basis, rather than banning imports altogether. China's practice has violated the practice of international trade border inspection." The suspension on the import of grouper is expected to reduce Taiwan exports of the fish by 3,600 metric tons this year, according to the COA. Despite this, some international partners who share democratic values with Taiwan have stood up to show support for Taiwan's fish farmers. Fish farmers in Japan's Fukushima prefecture said they would support Taiwan by eating democratic fish, referring to grouper fish from Taiwan, reported CNA. In recent years, agriculture in Australia, Lithuania, and Slovakia have been constantly hit by China's import bans. The farmers and food producers in these countries have strong influences on their governments, so this may be why they are targeted. The newest ban is a serious reminder to Taiwan of the dangers of being economically dependent on China. The CCP continues to operate in the U.S. by replacing old Confucius institutes with new programs, according to a news report released June 21st by the National Association of Scholars, NAS. New names include the Center for Language Education and Cooperation, though there is no overarching name for all the programs. Confucius classes continue to operate in many elementary and middle schools as well. The 228-page report notes that the Confucius Institute was one of the CCP's most strategic positions in U.S. higher education, and the collapse of the Confucius Institute did not stop the CCP from seeking alternative ways to influence U.S. colleges and universities, the Washington Times reports. Republican U.S. Representative Jim Banks publicly warned on June 21st that despite the closure or imminent closure of the 104 of the 118 Confucius Institutes at U.S. universities and colleges this year, the Chinese Communist Party's United Front Work Department continues to influence U.S. college campuses under a new guise, and he called on Congress and the administration to take the Chinese Communist threat seriously. One of Beijing's most successful tactics has been to rename similar Chinese-funded programs and to reopen institutions that have been closed in different forms, such as with U.S.-China sister university exchange programs. 28 institutions are known to have replaced closed Confucius institutes with similar programs, and 58 of them maintain close ties with former Confucius Institute partners. 5 institutions have transferred their operations to a new hosting organization. In China, the headquarters of the Confucius Institutes, the Office of the International Chinese Language Association, also known as the National Hanban, was renamed the Center for Language Exchange and Cooperation of the Ministry of Education. It created an independent organization called the China International Education Foundation to fund and control the Confucius Institutes and many alternative organizations. The report says the name change is part of Beijing's business of reshaping its soft power through these institutes. A high report in China revealed that the total severity rate of patients with the new coronavirus variant, Omicron, was 0.065%, and the severity rate of the non-high-risk group was 0. This means the Chinese people are not in danger from the disease. The report was researched by Shanghai medical expert Zhang Wenhong in an English version journal under the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The act of Zhang's publishing suggests it may be safe for China to lift COVID restrictions, especially for those in Shanghai who have become intolerable of the zero-COVID policy. But on June 22nd, the article was deleted. Chen Kuide, executive chairman of the Princeton China Society, told the Epoch Times on June 22nd that the article was deleted because of pressure. Currently, the CCP is in an uncertain period. When people like Zhang express their opinions despite high pressure, it signals that Chinese society is growing courage. Excluding China, countries worldwide have successfully adopted the strategy of coexisting with the virus. Zhang himself also proposed coexisting with the virus to the Chinese medical community. Zhang's reports ignited debates on the domestic epidemic prevention route. Some Chinese netizens sighed, Shanghai has been tossing for more than 90 days, and the severe rate is 0. What is the mortality rate of ordinary people in Shanghai, because they cannot seek medical treatment in time? Gu Guoping, a retired university teacher in Shanghai, believes that the Xi faction needs a dynamic zero-COVID policy, while Li Keqiang is against it and wants to do economic work. Both sections are now evenly matched. Zhang's point of view is precisely in line with Li Keqiang's approach. Zhang became popular for a while and then was counterattacked and beaten down. This situation will continue because the 20th National Congress of the CCP has not yet been finalized. Zhang Wenhong, an economist in the United States, said that regarding the zero COVID policy, most of the Politburo and the core of the entire party disagree. Now things are moving in the direction of the Politburo majority. Thank you so much for listening. You've been a great audience. If you liked what you heard, please share it with friends and family. See you tomorrow.